All right, everyone, welcome back into another fantasy golf video. Going to be breaking down round 2 here for the Wells Fargo Championship, giving you guys the best showdown picks. But first, just a quick recap from round 1. So round 1, we were able to hit Xander Schauffele first round lead at 18-1. That was awesome to see there. If you guys watched yesterday's video live stream that I hadn't, first one in a while, hopefully you guys were able to catch that or caught it after we went live. And hopefully you're able to bet Xander Schauffele first round lead at 18-1. That was a nice hit. Also mentioned Alex Noren, that he was someone that I thought would make for a great first round leader bet, but I thought he would make for a better placement bet. I mentioned top 10, top 5, really depending on the market that was available, but obviously finished runner up with Rory. And so 3 of the 6 golfers that I mentioned that I like for first round leader bets finished first or second. So pretty good stuff there. Unfortunately, for showdown purposes for round 1, I had a decent amount of Hideki because he was popping up for round 1 showdown. Obviously, Hideki withdrew. That opens up a whole nother thing where PGA Tour definitely needs to do some sort of injury report. And not to go on off a tiny Live tangent, but that's kind of the unfortunate side of Live, is that PGA Tour has been focused more on securing money instead from corporate, instead of focusing on fans, which they were doing prior to Live taking place. So I don't want to get off on that tangent here or there, but just unfortunate that for the last 2 years it hasn't been fans first. It's been players first pretty much. So hopefully we get an injury report soon. One can only hope. But looking at the top round 2 showdown picks, it's actually going to be more of the same of what we saw in round 1. So nothing too crazy here. In some cases, we're kind of just looking at the exact same plays that were already popping up for round 1. So Xander, Rory, Siwoo's popping up in there, Alex Noren, Patrick Cantlay popping up in there, Cameron Young, Wyndham Clark, Tagala. So nothing too crazy. Pricing wise, we can make a lot work. Maybe Tom Hoagie, someone you're looking at if you are trying to get Xander and also Rory into your builds. And I think that's the process that we go with again. And so before we get any further, I just want to see if we can make this work. Rory and Xander, Hoagie was something that was popping up that was lower priced on the main site. So let's go ahead and try to put him in there. And then I'll compare this against what the 9-to-5 lineup optimizer is telling us. So getting Hoagie in there. Now we have 6.4 left over. Probably can't make a lot work. Could we go back to Taylor Moore? No, he's priced up. Austin Eckroat, who had a bad round 1. Maybe he's someone that we could look to for round 2, but now we're getting extremely thin here pricing wise. So don't exactly love that aspect of it. Nick Taylor, someone that's playing fine, could get to him. 6.2 left over. Nick Dunlap, it doesn't really matter at that point. Seamus Power, again, doesn't really matter at this point. Maybe try to get lucky with Matt Kuchar still playing well here. But before we get into kind of the lineup builder aspect of it, I want to go through who's expected to play better, specifically putting. And so we go into the live strokes gained tab on the 9-to-5 website. And so we can kind of look at this basically however you guys want. It's sorted by who's ever in first place, so you can kind of break it down by that. If you wanted to, that's up to you guys. But let's just go ahead and take a peek at strokes gained putting. Which golfers are expected to get better or worse at strokes gained putting? And we're just going to compare that. So Brian Harman putted terribly. He's the player that's expected to putt better the most in round 2. So if that's something you guys want to look at, you could. You got a little bit of Emiliano Grillo, who typically doesn't putt well anyway, so I don't think we need to go too crazy with that. I guess he doesn't putt terribly. Peter Malnati didn't putt well. He could putt better in round 2, so definitely interesting there. But let's look at the opposite way, seeing if there's any players we can get off of. Yeah, Taylor Moore did putt well, so that's unfortunate. Probably not going to putt as good in round 2, so maybe not the best round 2 showdown play. Kyle Morikawa as well. He putted much better in round 1 than he was expected to. Benny And actually, that's surprising because I saw Benny Ann miss a short one. He must have made a bunch more after that. So, just be cautious. Justin Thomas, probably not someone you're playing in round 2 because he putted better than expected. So that's what I like about looking at someone like Xander, who basically putted as expected. It's not like he had an insane spike or dip in his putting. He putted as you would expect him to putt. Kind of the same for Alex Noren for what it's worth as well. I think that's interesting to look at there. And then also same for Rory in terms of strokes gained putting. So those 3, and that's probably why they're popping up as good showdown plays, is they're kind of expected to continue to roll with how they've been playing. Let's look at strokes gained total as well, just kind of looking at the top end. Yeah, basically more of the same. So in terms of players that are expected to play a little bit better, Akshay a little bit, Wyndham Clark as well. So Austin Eckroat, definitely a good option to have a good round in round 2. So some of the players that you can look at. But with that, guys, let's go ahead and get into the 9-to-5 lineup builder, see what it's telling us to play. All right, so need to give it 2 data points to go off of. Let's see. We don't need much of Webb, I would assume. We'll cap him at 15, whatever. Matt Kuchar 15, Jake Knapp 15, whatever. That's fine. Let's just do 3 for unique. We'll do about 40 for max exposure, and we'll just generate this. See what it tells us is the best lineup right now. So no surprise, we got Xander Schauffele in there, Siwoo Kim, Alex Noren. Kind of what you'd expect. Did pull in Webb Simpson, and that makes sense just because it's It's really trying to get to Xander, so that makes sense. Rory, not really popping up in there too much, 5% for Rory. So that's a little bit of a concern for me. So what I would do is what I did last slate, or for the main slate as well, is I do want to be getting probably 50% of both of them. They're playing well. Want to continue that. So if you set the max exposure to 50, it should default to trying to get to them a little bit more. So it did get to Xander at 50. And then because it got to Xander at 50, it actually didn't get to Rory. So we might need to lock Rory into 50% of builds. And then hopefully it still gets us a lot of Xander. We'll see. Still does. So I'm perfectly fine with this approach. Still getting a lot of Siwoo and Alex Noren for that matter as well. So still popping up as a good build. The only concern is I probably want to do 2 separate builds here, processes for us, where honestly half of the lineups I probably want to lock in Rory and Xander into a build together, and then maybe the other half where I'm not doing that. That was kind of a mistake that I made in round 1. But decent stuff here. Let's actually test that out here. All right, so this works. I kind of like this. So what I did is I did a player group here. When a lineup includes Xander, let's just lock in Rory with that. We're very much going studs and duds there, but I still kind of like the lineups that we're getting out there. Again, you might just want to do that for half of your builds, and the other half just kind of naturally let it occur. But decent there. Do want to touch on 2 things here real quick. One, I want to call out some good odds that we're getting for the PGA Championship. I think it's worth calling out. Is this right now? We are getting Alex Noren at 160 to 1 on FanDuel. This is a tweet that I put out, and I did a reply of his best odds. Check this out, because he's someone that arguably is, like right now, I haven't looked at. He's probably top 10 in recent form rank heading into the PGA Championship. He's been playing extremely well. I mean, he was a great stat fit this week for the Wells Fargo. Tack on another good week at a tournament like the Wells Fargo Championship. Yeah, he's really going to be popping up. And to get him at like 161 odds, that is just crazy. That's on FanDuel right now. In comparison, DraftKings has him down to like 60 to 1 or 80 to 1 or something like that. Like, that should not be occurring. To me, that's a huge edge. He's been someone I was already looking for. Kind of annoyed that he's playing this well in round 1. But it'll be interesting to see kind of if he continues that. Heck, if he finishes like top 20, I still think he'll be a good value-based outright bet for the PGA Championship. Kind of think a little bit of Wyndham Clark, I guess, winning the U.S. Open last year. Or think Gary Woodland when he won the U.S. Open. It'd kind of be like that with Alex Noren, where he's going to be a good staff fit, going to be in great recent form. I'm not sure of his Masters or Majors history. He was definitely should have made the Masters field, but I think that's a good outright bet right now. And then just real quickly, want to jump into the Myrtle Beach Classic. 3 players of mine are kind of letdowns at the moment. The other plays are all basically just -4 or better. So it's an interesting week. Like Alex Smalley, Dylan Wu, Davis Thompson, I was on a little bit. Chan Kim a little bit. Like, there's plenty. But let's look at these 2. Kelly Craft shooting even par was annoying, especially with the late bogey. But if we look at it, guys, he lost 2.5 strokes putting. So that's encouraging to me. You expect him to putt better in round 2. And then also Ben Martin, exact same thing, putted terribly. So like the 2 players I was on the most that are struggling right now, both really struggled putting. And so that is something that you do expect to be corrected. Almost losing 6 strokes combined right there. I mean, that is terrible. You don't expect that to continue for those 2. So if one of those 2 can make the cut, that'd be huge, because then I have a lot of 6 for 6 with a lot of these guys that are on the top end of the leaderboard. That'd be pretty clutch. But that's going to be all for this video. Just want to remind you guys, give a like and subscribe to the channel. Trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the PGA Championship or after, but it'd be awesome to get there before the PGA Championship. That's going to be all for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to give a like and subscribe. If you guys want access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, head on over to 9to5sports.com. Available for just $10 a month. Best value in fantasy golf. Might just be the best in fantasy golf. All right, thanks for watching, and as always, let's keep cashing.